More breaking news this hour, this time involving the investigation of the president's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, pleading guilty to multiple crimes. The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that a longtime crony of the president, David Pecker, was granted immunity in that case against Cohen. Now, Pecker is the chief of the publishing company that owns the National Enquirer. And Cohen told a judge he worked with Pecker in paying off a former Playboy playmate to silence her about her alleged affair with Trump, an offense Cohen said he committed at the direction and in coordination with Trump in order to influence the 2016 election. Now remember, that secret audio of Cohen and Trump's conversation, David Pecker is at the center of it. Listen.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David.
My analysts are back with me, and also joining us now, CNN's Kara Scannell. And Kara, you reported David Pecker was subpoenaed by the Southern District of New York. Do we know what he told investigators?
Well, our sources tell myself and my colleague Eric Orden that when that David Pecker was subpoenaed, and that when he testified, he told prosecutors about these payments that he had arranged with Michael Cohen, and he also said that Trump had knowledge of the deals. We don't know exactly the breadth of what he said in that, but we do know that he said he told them about these payments, and as the journal's reporting, as part of an immunity deal, and that Trump had knowledge of the deal. So that's where we are now. We're continuing to report this out, but Pecker is a longtime friend of Donald Trump's. This is a big deal for him to be in there and testifying and telling the government what he knew about these deals.
Your take, Robert, how big of a deal is this?
I think it's a big deal. I mean, they're putting all the dots together. That tape is the thing that is the thread through all of this. They're basically going through shell companies, moving money around, pushing the money back to Cohen, saying it's for legal bills. Then they're going to this guy and David, and he's telling you, I know what is happening here, and you go ahead and do that with David. Now, listen, I'm like, whether you like Trump, don't like Trump, the bottom line is if you can't smell conspiracy to violate laws and to hide this from people based upon everything that's going, you're just being completely blinded. Because again, I go back to the regular guy. If the regular guy did this, nobody would even bat an eye. They'd be like, are you kidding me? Of course they're all in on it.
There is a little bit of just common sense here.
Yeah.
Caitlin, when you hear Pecker now saying Trump knew about it, Cohen saying Trump knew about it, how many people need to say Trump knew about it, not to mention the president's own words on that tape we just played?
On the tape, exactly, which the White House wouldn't respond to yesterday, interestingly enough. The question that I've had, too, is how credible of a witness, of course, is Michael Cohen, right? We've seen the president try to downplay his role in his own life. I think there is a question about his credibility. If you do have these other people corroborating what he is saying, I think that could speak to that. That's beyond my legal purview, but
Of course.
And as far as Paul, do you think that we're going to now see more potential investigations here in New York, given that this is where all of it's happening, but this is a federal case that was opened against Cohen? Could there be a state prosecution or investigation at the very least moving forward?
Well, that's an interesting question, because state attorney generals have been making noises about going after Trump on charges all across the country. And of course, New York's been particularly hostile to him. And so much of the media is in New York. Now, this David Pecker thing is very, very interesting, because Pecker, of course, was the deal that he used to do with Trump was he would have these catch and kill arrangements where if somebody like one of these Playboy playmates had a bad story about Trump that Trump wanted to kill, the National Enquirer would go to the person and say, well, we're going to put you on as a columnist for X amount of money, but we're going to buy your story, so that they could never tell the tale of a relationship with Trump. It's called a catch and kill arrangement. But federal prosecutors have now come up with a theory that this really is kind of a campaign contribution. It's aiding and abetting a gift in kind to prevent embarrassing information from being disclosed. The same theory that they're using against Cohen. So they're being very thorough in this investigation, and now it's really gone to another level when they're starting to look at the press and how the press, or at least the National Enquirer, helped the Trump campaign.
It begs the question, too, as we learn more and more. I'm recalling there were more than a dozen women who came out and had allegations against then-candidate Trump. Kara, could there be more hush payments we don't even know about?
I mean, I think to Paul's point, exactly. The Enquirer's in the business of catch and kill, and the relationship that David Pecker has with Trump goes back decades. I was doing some research, and David Pecker, attended Trump's wedding. They have this long, rich relationship, and so if everything stands to reason the way that it's been, I think it makes sense that there possibly could be more payments. I mean, even after the story of Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal broke, we had, and after the raid of Michael Cohen, the National Enquirer ran a story about Michael Cohen, Trump's fixers, secrets, and lies. And at the time, everyone was saying that David Pecker would never have allowed that cover story to run, which was favorable to Trump. That would not have happened without David Pecker's sign-off. So, that was at least as recently as May, where we saw the National Enquirer, writing a story about Michael Cohen here, a negative story. So it certainly, I think their loyalty, it extended up until this point where, American media and David Pecker might have been put in a situation where they were going to be forced to testify before a grand jury and forced into this immunity deal. So we don't know how willing he was doing this. But it certainly would stand to reason, to your question, that there could very well be other women out there because of the allegations that you referred to and the catch and kill history of American media.
Guys, got to leave it there. Thank you so much. Back to our breaking news.